Session 380, November 6th, after 7 p.m. Pacific. And I say that because who knows when I'm going to render this. My YouTube has videos rendering 1 to 3 videos a day. I mean, my YouTube has 3 videos a day at the moment. And I just rendered session 343 and from my YouTube, and in my SoundCloud I rendered session 311. So I got a lot of sessions to go through in terms of rendering, and it took like 6 months or so to get one session on SoundCloud after recording it, just because this whole process of, first I got the process of rendering videos from my YouTube because I got a good enough computer just this year, and then I reintroduced the rendering videos because before that I tried to render videos and I stopped for a number of years and just focused on the audio and SoundCloud. But I got a new computer, so I'm doing a video with the sessions now, and so here we are. And then I have been juggling the programming of this program, Song Visualizer, and I've been spending so much of my resources into this program, getting it. You know what? It's like it works flawlessly on Mac, which is what I'm streaming on here. But like I keep saying, you'll notice the note speed movement is what? It's watch wherever the note comes down. See how the note moves down in the video? It's not smooth. It's kind of jittery, right? It kind of shakes when it comes down. And it's only occurring on the video. On my Mac, it's seamless. It's very smooth. So I've been trying to write it to get better performance on Windows. And that's what I've been spending a lot of my resources on. Just trying all sorts of alternate writings. I'm not giving up yet. I keep making more progress on it. I don't want to get into the details, but that's where all my resources are going, is behind the scenes of writing this program. But other than that, playing it on the Mac here where it works, and it's gonna go AFK for a couple minutes here and prepare for the next. Just playing whatever. That was three-dimensional lead. You got P90 pickups. You got the 60 cycle hum when doing the certain pickup arrangements by itself. Whatever. Makes me wonder why I chose P90 over humbucker. I was trying to get unique guitars. Oh, I don't have a P90. Let me get a P90. I already got a humbucker. But you know, whatever. Um, just is what it is, and I'm gonna play regardless. So give me a couple minutes. For some reason, Bill Hicks, the dark poet, comes to mind at the moment. With that said, let's go to Staircase of Perception. And this session, if you can't tell, it's just a whatever, who cares session, just like any other session. Just whatever, who cares. Let's see, look at the stats. 64% accuracy, not bad. Alright, next one. Or I could do the rhythm. Let's see. I'm not going to multi-track this. If I do all 3 tracks, then the rule is at the multi-track. So if I do multi-track, I'd have to do a better job on the lead, because that lead was just getting rid of the 60 cycle hum. It's always the alt lead as the most difficult. I knew that was going to happen. I was so close, a minute and 20 seconds in. It was going so well. But I don't want to multi-track it. So I'm going to leave it at that. If I do the alt lead, then I have to do a multi-track. That's my rule anyway. 3D alt lead. So close. Oh, hold on. Yeah, so also there's a bug in this version of the... Hold on. Sorry. There's a bug in this version of the note detection because after the first song it stopped detecting. There might be an error or a reconfiguration, so I just reset the program. Because what I did numerous changes to the guitar input note frequency detection. I changed it to try to have better performance, so I had to rewrite how it all functioned and performed. Because on Mac it was doing fine, but on Windows I tried to rewrite it for Windows, but I didn't include a Mac and Windows version separately. Like I recently just introduced a different functionality for Mac and Windows, specifically for Windows having interpolation and fixed delta time, and the Mac not having that. Mac working fine without it. Differences between operating systems. Okay, so next one. Let's do staircase. That's a tough one. That is philosophical. Pondering. Thinking, debating, logical decisions. That one I wrote. It's interesting because it seems like the algorithm I wrote for that one, Staircase of Perception, it seemed like every X number of measures, the mood would change. First it would go fast, and then it would come back. It would be fast treble, and then slower mids. Fairly interesting. I missed some because of the complexity, but it made me realize, like, the algorithm for that song. It's been a year and 6 months since I released a songwriting song, and I'm just going back to these most recent writings. I'm just going through them all to an extent, not all. Maybe I'll dedicate another session directly for the alt leads, which I have most trouble with, because right now I'm just doing the leads and rhythms, and the lead has some trouble because of the complexity. The rhythms, well, we have to see how this rhythm goes, but the rhythm for three-dimensional is fun. Yeah, so there is a bug when going between songs with the guitar input. It stops detecting after the first. It must be a change that I made that I didn't test. It's a different. Well, I tested on Windows, but not song to song. Oh well, that's why I have different versions of Git. I mean, different branches. But I have to see what the error is. 'Cause it's not an error that stops a song. It's caught somewhere. Okay, computer generated. No, three-dimensional staircase rhythm. Let's do a tune-up. Okay, that had something pretty cool that I didn't notice until now, somehow. There's a portion where it goes a double stop, fourth string, fifth fret, first finger, second string, eighth fret, pinky finger. First string, first finger, fourth string, fifth fret, pinky finger, fourth finger, second string, eighth fret, double stop. And after that, it goes sixth fret, third string, second finger, third finger, seventh fret, second string. So all the song is, it's just a patterned fluctuation. 2 chords here, 4 chords there, 8 chords here. All in a row, pattern based. Based on a key and scale. And some other algorithm I wrote in a Python Pygame PyGuitar Pro private programming project. Up next, not the alt lead, but more of an uplifter of Streetlight. As for the song meanings and the song titles, this album's called Three Dimensional, and it all is a theme. So it's not in order on this screen. The track list is out of place. It's alphabetical, which I played track number 3, and which is actually the last track, Eureka's Alphabet. But Streetlight, let's do that. Uplifting, at least the rhythm, and is the lead as well. I'm gonna keep the same tone regardless, because I don't feel like I don't feel like tone hunting right now. I already did that earlier. Okay, so obviously the tempo is modified if you haven't noticed. If you read the tempo, it says 33 BPM. And you know what? At this point, should I just fully only support Mac at this rate? All my resources being spent on trying to get Windows for what? For these stupid videos? As long as I got the audio. As long as I could see the program on the Mac, streaming steady, 60 FPS, what's it matter if the video has it or not? Regardless, for that Canon Rock, there was one thing I fixed in this version 0.7R alpha, is in version 0.7Q alpha, the measure and the tempo would be off by a second because I rounded the time to an integer rather than a float. Long story short, I cached the text before the game loop to only render inside the game loop or something. I only reference it in the game loop. I don't make a new thing in the game loop. Game design, blah, blah, blah. Regardless, let's move on to, I don't know, where do you go on from Canon Rock? I have an idea. And we're not going to pay attention to the score in this session. Score is going to stay 0 because there's a bug going on. It only records the guitar input for one song because the changes I made for Windows are applying to Mac. And that broke it because I didn't test it enough, and here we are. So let's see how it goes. I'm going to do another song. At least we'll see how it goes. I'm thinking of one in particular. So today being November 6th, the last session I did was before the 22nd, I'm pretty sure. Or there was one session I did with the new audio interface that I have. Just got recently, because right now I'm using the Universal Audio Apollo Twin X. And it's a fancy interface. You see the plugins I'm using for it. Overdrive. I'm not using this one. I didn't update the screen. That's a bummer. Let me update it. Dang, it's been inaccurate. Well, that's too many variables going on. It's actually the Tweed. I'm going to save this tone. Oh, I already did save it. I saved it as RSP02T lead 3D session 380. Each plugin have presets you save. So this is Fender Tweed. And let's close this one because I don't actually have it. Okay, Fender Tweed and I am running reverb. Clean Studio reverb, Fender and the overdrive pedal, and the Tweed, and RSP02T P90 pickups in the center position because I don't feel like dealing with the hum in the lead. And in order for me to run that at the same time as recording, I would have to get a new Apollo Twin quad that has more resources, which I'm undecided on. And, I gotta name the track. So I'm currently on session 311 on my SoundCloud and session 343 in my YouTube. On my YouTube I do 3 videos a day, scheduled. And, Jessica. Oh man, that makes me want to play Sarah by Thin Lizzy. Because this song is Jessica by Allman Brothers Band. Sarah and Jessica. You can guess what they're about. But Sarah is... Oh, I forgot. I never really played Sarah. I forget why. Like, out of all the Thin Lizzy songs I have, E flat, Thin Lizzy. Out of all of them, I don't have Sarah here. I have Rosalie. I never played Rosalie. I never played Don't Believe a Word. I don't think it works, that's why. I'm not going to downtune right now. I'm not going to look at it. The most recent one I have that I added is Wrong. Oh, I didn't sync it. If I hit sync button, it'll download it from the server. But there's a song that I have, AC/DC, the first track of something at the top. The intro riff. But it's wrong because it's the wrong fret. AC/DC is in the 2nd fret, but this guitar tab I had speak of is in the higher fret. I don't think I have the tone for this one either. The Rock or Bust album. What's the rhythm? Did I even do the rhythm? So this program only does 3 notes max. It only displays 3 notes if you have 6 notes, and it displays 3 of them only. Rhythm's same as the lead. Oh well. I have to see what is the. There's probably some error. Yeah, there's error. Get frequency. Yeah, it did error. Oh, I know why. Really? I know exact error. I thought I. Oh, that's right. I readjusted the frequency around the same time. I haven't checked that. So basically, I assign each note and frequency a value. Or sorry, each single note, each chord, I assign a frequency value. And when I play the guitar, it detects the frequency value. So it looks at the note, determines if it's a hit or miss, and oh wait, hold on. No, this is a different log. This is a different error. Define initial note. Oh, sorry. Dang, I thought that was an easy fix. I misinterpreted there. I'll have to look at this later. Not gonna look at it now. This session already committed. All right, so 2 hour session. Quite a few songs actually too. I think this is a good amount of songs so I don't break my arm here. So we got three-dimensional lead and rhythm, staircase of perception, lead and rhythm, streetlight, rhythm incomplete, then lead, Canon Rock, Allman Brothers Band, Jessica. I think that's a pretty good number of songs. Okay, I know I don't stream that often, and when I do stream, it's just random. But well, I guess I could hang on. So this program, Song Visualizer, I've been programming quite a lot. I've been programming this program more than I've been playing and rendering guitar. I mean, don't get me wrong, I recorded like 80 sessions I'm still rendering. I never had a backlog this much. Usually, so I started recording guitar 2013. And from 2013 to 2019, I had about 76 sessions. In 2020-ish, I doubled that to 100 something. And around 280, I created this program, Song Visualizer. So it's been about 100 sessions, roughly, of using this program, at least. Over a year and a half of using this program. And because I used to play Rocksmith, mod the songs into Rocksmith, and make the DAT file, DAT file, convert the Guitar Pro audio to the official audio in some cases, and put it in Rocksmith. Convert the audio to with a WWise program, and use the Rocksmith toolkit. Use the editor on Fire to synchronize the notes. 20 steps later, you get the song in Rocksmith, right? With my program, it's as simple as just opening the Guitar Pro file. Seconds. It's so funny though because I have such a limited song amount that I actually play. I don't have too many. I haven't bothered to import. I mean, it's as simple as bringing a file in and having it under certain rules as um, my own rules that I wrote, like it has to be named lead rhythm alt lead as the arrangement name. And but other than that, it pretty much detects the correct song settings, like a full Guitar Pro file. My program opens it up and it goes through each note and each measure and determines when to play what note accurately. It has grace notes, sustains, bends. Well, the thing about the bends, the visuals for the bends and the slides, hammer-ons, pull-offs, I have that right now just as text, um, just as a placeholder. Because I've been so focused on trying to get Windows performance. Let me do another one. I'm not going to change the tone. Interpol is not the most difficult for these two songs. The trick to that one is you got to slide with the pinky from 5 or 7 or however close to 14. You don't slide with the first finger. You slide with the first finger to 14, you end up going in the wrong position. You have to revert the back the next second. So you got to go to the third finger. So you'd have to keep that position after you slide. And say if you're a new guitar player, you got to trust your pinky. What are you going to do with your pinky if you're only 2 frets away? You're going to use your third finger, or you can use your pinky. If you don't use your pinky, what's your pinky going to do? Spend that energy crouching away from the third finger? Try to fluctuate. Pinky wants some attention right there. Alright. What's next? I don't know if I have any simple ones like, okay, never mind. Okay, I'm going to miss a lot, but this is going to be fun. The fun part about this one is the double stop. The third string and the first string. What I do is I play that without a pick. regardless if it makes me slower. Muscle memory 101. Do it once, do it 100 times. So I just use the first and finger, my pinky and my first finger, and my first finger and my second finger. So my right hand, thumb and first finger, index finger, whatever it's called. Fifth finger, first finger. Third string, first string. Left hand, I have the first finger and second finger on the third string and the first string. Double stop. That way, I don't use the chord. I don't use the pick, and I don't use the pick because when you use the pick, you have to pluck the muted string, the second string, and I'd rather not have to mute that with my left hand. I'd rather just not play it all together. So I just put the pick between my fingers and just start plucking with my fingers. Fun. Fun session. Session 380. Who knows when it'll be on YouTube other than the live session here and bits and pieces, cut up the highlights, hide away. Good stuff. A lot to play in one session. Excuse me. And oh, let's look at my note stats. 68% accuracy. Total score 922. Longest streak 92. Wow. Hit count 508. Miss count 234. Not bad. So the error is going to happen after this first song. So the error is easy to reproduce, whatever. It's going to happen every time you play two songs, basically. But yeah, this is a RSP02T. Like I said earlier, it has installed locking ratio picked on here. What was interesting is that I haven't played this guitar in who knows how many weeks. And I just took it out of the case and it kept the tune. Granted, with locking tuners, I still have it wrapping around. And so I'm using locking tuners wrong in that aspect. Because I'm using too much wraparound. But regardless, it kept the tune. RSP02T, made in Japan. Before I got this guitar, I was like, I want to write an album with this guitar. I guess you could say I'm still writing. The tone on this is great. Granted, I kept it in the center to get rid of the hum. But the tone itself, it's like, I don't know, it's compared to a humbucker, like it's just another flavor. I could go grab my Gibson and get that tone. But that tone, like with my guitars, I like having unique things about each one of them. If I had another humbucker, then that would be boring. Although the humbucker was down different between two different branded humbuckers, which still sound humbucker. So I wanted the P90. Although I'm mostly stuck to the position to get rid of the hum without other means of muting the hum. The tone on this thing is great. But okay. Let's oh, I just noticed the minimal fretboards. I never really paid attention to that. The inlays, just minimal. Doesn't get in the way, but lets you know they're there. How many frets is this anyway? I never paid attention. 12, 15, 17, 19, 21, 22. Okay. So there's something interesting about my next guitar that I can't wait. I've been planning it out for months, and it's in production. I don't want to say any details yet, but it's getting close to the time where I'll get the guitar. The next one I've been planning for months. My 10th one. It's something that I'm going to play a lot of drop C with. You know, just when I thought I had each flavor of guitar, there's a drop C flavors that I hadn't thought about. So I had to modify my previous guitar, which is a P90. I still have it, the Harley Benton SC Custom 2. I configured that for drop C tuning with the P90. And I decided to get a custom guitar with my own specifications. And I aimed it at drop C. But you'll have to see. I'm going to record a lot once I get it. And I still have yet to use this other audio interface. So it's going to be fun. Lots of things coming. Maybe I could focus priority on Song Visualizer for Mac over Windows too. We'll see how it goes. I'm going to end this session. We're here at 2.5 hours. Session 280. though 380. They just add up. All right. I'll see you next session.